A massive crimson demon stands before Gabby. The demon is about to attack him using its metal-knuckled hand. Although visibly injured and at a disadvantage, he finds it fascinating that a monster is about to kill him while other monsters cheer as well. But it is the first time in his life that he lets out a loud chortle. This is the moment he has been waiting for. Perhaps he is standing at the very arena to look for the answer he has been asking himself his whole life. Is he a madman among saints or a saint among madmen? In a flashback, Gabby's life started as normal. He was a kid most loved by his mother. They even had a pet cat whom his mother adored so much. However, one day, his mother found out that he had done something horrible to the cat. He explained that the cat was acting strange, so he tried to figure out what was wrong and in turn used the knife against the poor thing. Gabby has always been fascinated by death. His mother realized early on that he wasn't like the others. She gave him a warm hug that was enough to give warmth to his cold heart. His mother thought that if he stayed busy all the time, his tendencies would disappear, and for a while, they really did. He kept himself busy doing different sports like soccer, chess, and taekwondo. However, during his taekwondo class, his tendencies slipped through and he punched a classmate more than he should. He let out a madman smile, but fortunately, his mother was around to stop him. However, he still wasn't able to control himself and slapped his mother for meddling in. He was shocked by his own action, but his mother reassured him that everything would be alright. But for Gabby, he felt awful that day. That was the only time he ever felt genuine guilt. After that day, he did everything he could to make her believe that he had his tendencies in check and he was normal again. He wanted to spare her from the truth and wanted to make her happy even though he wasn't sure what that meant. She looked at him with understanding eyes that only a mother could give. Suddenly, the plate she was holding slipped from her hand and she began to tremble uncontrollably. They found out that his mother had cancer and it had been killing her for 4 months. On her deathbed, she confessed that she had found out the place where he buried the animals. He panicked, confused that she knew all along. She explained that she figured that he couldn't fight it all this time and that he tried his hardest to hide it from her so she wouldn't get hurt. She told him that she would leave soon and she wanted to go with a calm and peaceful heart, and so she wanted him to make 2 promises to her. First, never take his anger out on a human. Unless he is in danger and needs to defend himself, he needs to make sure that he would choose someone who deserves it. Second, he needs to promise that he would be nice to everyone and make friends. He needs to try to laugh and enjoy moments with kids his age. In this way, they would see what a good boy he is. Doubtful, he asked what if others didn't want to be friends with him. She assured him that everything would be fine. Gabby promised that he would do these things. A few days later, his mother died and left him all alone. He remembered that was the only time he felt real pain. Eventually, his aunt and uncle took him in and didn't fool around, and he tried his hardest to keep the promise that he had made to his mother. In the present, at his school, Gabby has successfully made a friend in Diego. The boy greets him a beautiful morning and he immediately notes how cheerful his friend is today compared to usual. His friend brags that he bought some card game that he is very excited to use during their bus ride to their trip to the planetarium. Diego explains that he visited the planetarium a few times with his parents and that the bus ride during school trips is the most fun part, so he wants to be prepared for it. He doesn't notice that he is in the way of another student. The student, Kevin, glares at his friend and then immediately grabs him by the collar. The bully glowers at him, threatening to punch him in the face. Afraid of the guy, Diego immediately apologizes to him. Gabby intervenes, grabbing the man's hand and demanding that he let go of his friend since he already apologized. Kevin tries to intimidate him as well, but feels a little off about Gabby. He seems like a strong kid, and so he asks if he wants to fight. Just then, his girlfriend, Fiona, arrives and tells him to stop getting into a feud with kids. She tells him to walk her to her locker so they won't miss the bus. He apologizes to his girlfriend for the delay, but looks back again at the 2 kids. He tells them that the next time they meet, he will definitely crush their bones. Diego lets out a smile and thanks him for interfering. Meanwhile, what his friend doesn't know is that he is holding a weapon in his hand, ready to strike Kevin if they hadn't been prevented by his girlfriend. He then asks his mother's spirit if he could kill Kevin. The teacher tells the students to get on the bus quickly since they are about to leave for their school trip. Diego is hyped that the best seats are still free and they could score one. He tells Gabby that they should aim for the middle row since it is right between the 2 exits where they could easily run to the bathroom or hide from the teachers. Meanwhile, Kevin is bullying the other students in the back row, claiming their seats. Watching this happen, Diego adds that the best thing about being in the middle seat is that they are far from the troublemakers like Kevin. Just then, Cedric, the class representative, stands up against the bully and tells him to leave the students alone or else he will have to report his bad behavior to the school. Kevin's lackey barks at him and advises him to stay out of their business if he doesn't want any trouble. The bully reiterates that he doesn't have the right to boss them around even if he is the class rep. Meanwhile, Gabby is observing the scene from his seat and finds it interesting that they are fighting over a seat. He can see that Kevin wants to show everyone that he is the alpha male. Another interesting thing for him is that Cedric witnessed that kind of behavior every day and never thought to interfere but is stepping up now. He quietly questions his action, thinking if the class representative really cares about his classmates. As he sees Cedric retreating from the bullies, he comes to the conclusion that none of their actions are making sense to him. Just then, the teacher arrives and the tension breaks off. Kevin immediately scurries away while the teacher tells them all to sit down. The bus is about to go when a student raises her hand and informs the teacher that Mel, one of their classmates, hasn't arrived yet. The teacher is exasperated that the girl is late again as always. In that moment, Mel arrives, exhausted and panting from running toward the bus. The teacher scolds her for always being late and tells her to put effort into stopping this from happening again. The student is apologetic and quickly gets into the bus to find her seat. As the bus moves, she wobbles on her feet and almost falls down, but Gabby comes to her rescue and catches her just in time. She blushes in response and awkwardly thanks him for helping her. She accidentally calls him Gabby and asks if it is unpleasant for him to be called that way by people. As she awkwardly fidgets in front of him, Gabby tries to calm her down. Finding her actions strange, he sits down and gives her a pass to call him Gabby. Since the trip is being delayed, he tells her to find a seat. The bus drives off and during their journey, the students chatter away. The teacher starts to brief them regarding their trip to the planetarium when suddenly they all feel a strong tremor. The bus comes to a halt, and the teacher discusses that it could have been an earthquake that they felt. Gabby notices that it smells like sulfur. Diego suddenly realizes it as well, and in that moment, a huge lightning bolt almost strikes the bus, terrifying the students. Diego scoots closer to Gabby, who calmly looks at his phone that suddenly ran out of battery. All of a sudden, a whirlwind forms, further making everyone panic. Diego starts screaming while Gabby calmly straps his seatbelt, securing himself in place. He tells his friend to do the same as he ducks his head. The teacher screams for the students to hold tightly to their seats as much as they can as they brace for the impact of the violent winds. The students do as they are told and hold tightly to their seats and ride out the tornado. Moments later, Gabby recovers after blacking out. He looks around him, checking if the tornado is over and expecting that there are dead bodies around him. He looks at his friend beside him and sees that Diego is crying, asking if he saw the huge eye earlier. Confused as to what he is referring to, he thinks that his friend is still in shock after what happened. However, he suddenly remembers that right before he blacked out, he did see a huge eye in the center of the tornado staring back at him. He tries to calm him down once again and tells him that it was all in his imagination. Mel does the same to her friend, assuring her that the worst is over now. The class rep remains frozen in his seat, while Kevin hollers from the back seat, asking if anyone is hurt. The teacher asks if anyone has a working phone so they can call for help. Gabby checks his phone, but it is already drained of battery. He tries to look outside to see if the dust has settled yet. As he looks outside, he is shocked to see a weird figure standing there, looking directly at him. He wonders if he is hallucinating after hitting his head during the tornado. However, the others start screaming, seeing the weird creature as well. It starts to talk, which throws him even more off guard. To their utter shock, it flaps its wings and begins ascending, mentioning that the match is going to be thrilling this time. He greets everyone a good morning and asks them politely to leave the bus. Because they were stunned, the students forget to move, so the monster screams at them again, ordering them to alight the bus. The students rush to get out of the bus. Kevin and his girlfriend wonder where they could be, while Diego asks Gabby if he has any idea what is going on. He has no idea as well, but notices that they are in a different place. Shocked at what she sees, Mel tells them to look at the sky, and they are stunned to find 2 moons above. This only means that they are not on Earth anymore. As the dust completely settles, the students become completely terrified upon seeing aliens gather up in an arena, looking and cheering at them. The weird guy declares that he will be overseeing them, introducing himself as the announcer. He tells them to prepare for a bloody day in which countless warriors will fight each other, tear each other apart, and butcher one another for their amusement and in the glory of the entities. He then presents the gifts he and the collector gathered across the universe and brought as sacrifices. Forgetting which planet they came from, he reaches out to the teacher and asks. The man trembles at his sight and stammers as he answers that they came from Earth. Diego freaks out hearing this, thinking that they will be eaten by the aliens. The announcer explains that in the arena, they love it when their sacrifices resist. Suddenly, different kinds of weapons appear in front of the humans. The announcer adds that they will have to survive in a battle against one of their races. Just then, a horde of goblins runs toward the arena. The students panic at the sight of the monsters. Kevin takes the lead and instructs them to shut the gates and grab their weapons to fight the monsters. Meanwhile, Gabby slightly smiles and clenches his fist, thrilled that the situation is heating up. The humans run to safety, screaming for help. Gabby tells his friend to get ready. However, instead of bracing for the fight, his friend grabs him and runs away from the goblins. The teacher instructs the students to hide inside the bus, but he gets stabbed by a goblin. The other humans get attacked as well. Some of them, led by Kevin, gather and fight the monsters. Fiona bravely stabs a goblin out of fear. Kevin praises her for a job well done. The goblins continue to attack humans while Gabby and Diego hide behind a boulder. He finds it tough that he wasn't able to grab a weapon when there is a bloodbath happening around him. The only thing he got is a screwdriver, and he is not sure if it will help them survive at all. Looking at his friend beside him, he almost sighs since he is of no use while panicking. He looks at Kevin's group and thinks that he will likely survive if he is with them. He contemplates leaving Diego behind and surviving on his own. Then, his friend screams. His eyes dart to the arena where Mel is. He watches her dash quickly across the arena, escaping from a goblin holding a knife. However, she accidentally slips in a pool of blood and drops to the ground. This gives the goblin a chance to catch her. Gabby watches this unfold and gets shocked when Diego leaps and punches the monster. Diego is confused at how he got so strong. He brushes it off and thinks of it as mere luck and adrenaline kicking in. Gabby finds it odd as well since he has never seen his friend that physically strong. Since they are not paying attention, they miss seeing the goblins attacking from behind. Gabby screams, warning them to jump as high as they can. The two follow his warning and jump as high as they can. Doing something unexpected, the two panic while mid-air. Meanwhile, Gabby uses this opportunity to stab a goblin with his screwdriver. He then gives it a high kick and lands gracefully on the ground, catching the goblin's weapon in his hand. He analyzes that they are stronger and faster there than on Earth because of the gravity or the atmosphere. Feeling a surge of excitement, he smiles maniacally and further annihilates the other goblins. He slashes the goblins successively, killing one after another. Diego and Mel are both in shock, seeing him so gruesome. Diego commends him for being so brave and cool. He gently pats his friend's shoulder, and when Gabby looks over, they are shocked by how ruthless he looks. Diego and Mel are terrified by his vicious eyes. He walks over to them and hands them a weapon, telling them that if they want to survive, they must do what he says. They hide behind a boulder and strategize what they need to do in order to survive. He points out that the creatures are afraid to attack because there are many of them, and they're armed, and monsters prefer to attack loners. They observe Kevin's group once again, who are doing well in fending off the enemies. He explains that because of their panic, they scattered away, which was a big mistake. If they want to increase their chances of survival, they need to join Kevin's gang. He draws their strategy and explains that they need to run straight through the arena since it's the fastest route. However, it is also the most dangerous way to do it, so he reminds them that they should avoid fights whenever possible. He asks if they are ready, and the two agree in unison. Gabby leads the way, and they dash to the arena. He slashes every goblin that blocks their way and tells the two to keep running. However, Diego gets distracted and looks at the humans being attacked by the goblins. One of them shouts for help, and he can't help himself but stop and interfere. He grabs one of them and rips out its limbs. Gabby and Mel look back to their friend and are stunned to see him on a rampage. He grabs more goblins and gets lost in annihilating them one after another. Gabby is stupefied, seeing his friend losing control, and didn't know that he was capable of such cruelty. Even the monsters start being wary of him, and so they attack in a group, trying to outnumber him. Gabby's psychotic tendencies come through, and he plans to leave his friend behind and use him as a distraction to get to the others. However, Mel calls out to him and tells him to go and help their friend. With this, the girl dashes to Diego's side and assists him. Gabby finds this troublesome, having only thought about himself all the time. However, he realizes that this could be advantageous for them and shouts for them to fight as many goblins as they can. Distracted, Mel gets injured by one of the goblins. Gabby comes to her rescue and stabs the monster. He attacks more goblins alongside his friends, feeling scorned that others are also saving themselves and leaving them behind. He keeps reminding himself to save himself first, since it's not rational to save others because they are on their own, and he is on his own. A goblin is about to attack him from behind, and he thinks it is all over. Suddenly, a memory of his mother pops into his mind, followed by a splatter of blood. He is shocked to see Kevin butcher the goblin that was about to kill him. The young man tells everyone to keep their will to fight strong and find themselves a weapon or use their bare hands to fight and survive. He takes the lead and attacks the monsters, annihilating more goblins. The announcer laughs maniacally after witnessing something unexpected. He adds that the day is full of surprises. Contrary to expectations, the parasites from Earth achieve victory. Wobbling from tiredness, Kevin asks if they will be sent home after winning the battle against the goblins. But, to their surprise, the announcer declares that there will be round 2. The gate to the arena opens, and they are horrified to see a much more spine-chilling enemy. A red humongous monster steps into the arena, and the announcer declares that he is from the Red Planet, the Scarred Crusher. The demon is one of the favorites of the crowd, and has entertained them in his first 2 matches, and the match will be his 3rd and final mandatory match. In case of victory, the entities will allow him to advance to the upper league where he can earn honor, glory, and freedom. Gabby is surprised to learn that there are 3 games that they need to play to get out of this hell. The announcer continues to elaborate on the future of those who will lose or win the game, but he emphasizes that it will be very disappointing if they can't give them an entertaining fight. The audience hollers in excitement. Meanwhile, in the battlefield, the humans brace themselves as the demon approaches them. With this, Kevin starts to lose his grit and will to fight, admitting defeat. Having no choice, he declares that they should act the same as before and attack all together. However, Gabby disagrees, pointing out that the monster is all alone and he is big enough to kill several with one blow. He adds that there are more of them and they are small and fast enough. They just need to exhaust the monster and surround it in order to kill it. Kevin seems doubtful about this plan, but Gabby points out that he needs to trust him this time and support him as their leader. As the demon is about to strike, one of them shouts that they need to make a decision faster because they are about to get killed. Kevin shouts for them to scatter away, but one of them gets so terrified that he forgets how to move his feet and run. The demon's hand lands on the man, creating a reverberating sound that echoes through the arena. Upon seeing what happened to the man, Diego realizes that they did the right thing by scattering away since it is slower than them. The demon looks back at them and states that running away from him is pointless. Kevin shouts at his companions to keep running. The demon runs after them, creating a tremor on the ground. Fortunately, they are able to escape from the demon, and they realize that its movement is slowing down. It starts to catch its breath and becomes enraged from losing patience. Seeing it getting frustrated, they conclude that Gabby is right about tiring it out and running away from it. Angered, the demon then slams the ground with its hard fist. The humans get swept away by the impact, sending them to the other end of the arena. Having been the first one to recover, Kevin checks on Fiona and Maddie if they are still okay. Fiona broke her leg, and so he rushes to her side to mend it. He wonders if his friend is still unconscious as he wraps her leg with a cloth to stop the bleeding. Just then, the demon appears, refusing to let them run to safety again. Kevin attempts to charge toward the enemy, saying that he prefers to die in the battle rather than be trampled on without a fight. However, Fiona stops him as if accepting that they will die in the end, so at least they will die together. The two accept their fate and face their death while holding on to each other. Just as the demon is about to seal their end, Gabby leaps toward it and gives it a powerful kick, enough to stop it in its tracks. In that moment, he realizes that he made a terrible mistake. The audience cheers, seeing him play a hero in that last-minute save. The demon recognizes his strength and bravery, saying that he is so amusing to play with. It grins at him, thrilled at its new playmate. Meanwhile, Gabby admonishes himself for getting involved, and now the demon will only focus on him. The only silver lining in the situation is that he knows now that he can hurt the monster. He charges toward the demon, and it retaliates, hitting the arena again with its gigantic fist. He realizes that his enemy is simply a giant who has weaknesses just like anybody else, and its size makes it easier to be the target and hit the spots. To win the fight, he continues to strike the demon, but is afraid that he is not hitting deep enough. Diego and Mel see their friend struggling and resolve to help him, just like Kevin, who tells his girlfriend to stand back in the meantime and wait for him. Gabby and Diego both attack the demon at the same time, and Gabby reaches the demon. It retaliates again and produces another earthquake that stops the humans from advancing. Gabby leaps and attempts another strike, aiming to gouge the devil's eyes out. However, it sees through his plan and dodges his attack, sending him to the other part of the arena. He hits his back against the concrete wall, but wills himself to stand up and fight some more. The demon laughs at his misery and how amusing he can be. Gabby assesses himself and figures that he has several fractures after the impact and concludes that he really messed up this time. He moves slowly, his body aching all over from pain. He obviously stands no chance against the demon, and yet he is still struggling and trying to survive. He laughs maniacally at how pitiful his situation is. It is fascinating that even though his fate turns out to be this brutal, he still has the courage to laugh. Maybe he has the answer to his question to himself all his life. Is he a madman among the saints or a saint among madmen? The demon tries to hit him again, but it misses after he leaps while holding his weapon. He then stabs it in the eye, making it cry out in pain. Wanting to end the fight victorious, he grabs a spear nearby and surprise attacks it from behind. Like a madman, he pierces through the demon's thick skin. After a moment, the giant wobbles and completely loses consciousness. The crowd cheers, and he realizes that he must continue to be a madman. Among the crowd is another mysterious figure who seems interested in him. Gabby can't believe he just won. Diego approaches him while praising him for being such a powerhouse. Gabby is smiling as the rush of killing something bare-handed dawns on him. It gets cut short as he faints and falls to the ground. It worries Diego and Mel that his injuries might be severe. A medical humanoid robot asks that they step away while it takes a look at Gabby. Other robots also take a look at the others for medical aid. The robot, looking into Gabby, recommends that the boy be put in the recovery capsule immediately. The robots put Gabby in a holographic box made of light as if it were a stretcher and drag him off the arena. The announcer tells them not to worry since the droids will be the ones to take care of people in the infirmary as well as dispose of the bodies. He lets the class gather and then asks for the crowd's attention. He says that it is time to announce how many essence points the brave warriors have gathered, making the crowd excited. A huge screen with the team's faces is shown on a big screen. The announcer is proud to say that the humans have broken a record by having 3 fighters pull off the miracle of breaking the 1,000 point mark. He shows on the screen that Gabby has gathered 3,000 points, which he says is something unheard of. Kevin sees the screen and hates that he got more points than he did. Mel raises her hand. She asks why there are 16 names on the screen when there are only 15 of them on the ring. The screen shows Cedric, who is not with them, and how he has 0 points. The announcer feels foolish that he made a mistake. He raises his hand towards the pile of corpses. The fully living Cedric then rises up from the corpses like he is being carried by an invisible force. He gets pulled towards the hand of the announcer as he strangles him. Cedric asks that he let him go. The announcer knocks him to the floor while telling him that hiding and running away are not viable survival strategies. He encourages the team instead to keep on fighting until they earn enough points to buy their freedom. Kevin asks him how much they need to be free. The announcer answers that they need 100,000 points and then laughs out loud like a maniac. The students panic as they see no way they can reach that many points. It is only Kevin who smiles and points his sword towards the announcer while telling his classmates that they will hit 100,000 points in no time. He urges the announcer to bring on the next monster for them to fight. The announcer suddenly teleports behind him to put his arm around his shoulder, and he tells Kevin he likes how much he growls. He whispers to the tense Kiwin that their battle for today is over, and that they should follow the droids so they can guide them to the rest area and answer all their questions. He then slaps Kevin on the butt like a familiar friend to get him on his way. The team follows a droid into the tunnel of the arena. More droids show up to meet them and show them a portal doorway. They tell the students that it will take them to the rest area. Meanwhile, Gabby is still awake in a bed in the infirmary. He suddenly opens his eyes and gets up urgently, as if he had a bad dream. A man with blue skin and elf-like pointy ears is there to see him. Gabby is in a white void, wondering if he is already dead. Suddenly, his mother appears with a smile that assures him that everything is fine. She asks her son if killing again feels good to him. She suddenly turns into a skull-faced demon and asks him again if killing felt good. This is when Gabby woke up with urgency. The blue alien man sees that he is awake and invites him to talk with him. Gabby demands to know from him where he is and where his classmates are. The blue man asks him to calm down and assures him that everything is alright. He informs Gabby that he is in the healing center and has just finished his recovery procedure. He introduces himself as Callaghan and says with a suspicious smile that he is his new friend. He offers to answer every question Gabby has. He invites Gabby to grab a bite with him. Meanwhile, the others are following the droids to a huge and futuristic apartment building-like structure. There, they see other alien creatures trapped like them. The droid brings them to Block 99 and tells them that the place is exclusively for them. He also tells them all of their accommodations. They enter the building, where they see that it is a huge place filled with all that they need as a shelter. The droid gives them 1 hour to pick their quarters and asks that they meet it upstairs later. Meanwhile, Gabby is in a restaurant, amazed at the view of the advanced alien city. Callaghan informs Guy that the tall tower outside is where they were before, and that the portal dropped them at his favorite restaurant. At the table, Gabby receives a plate of a burger. Callaghan tells him that he ordered it for them since he knows that it is an Earth dish. Callaghan is putting on too much charm for him, which makes Gabby suspicious that he has an agenda. He asks what the blue alien wants from him. Callaghan smiles and puts his wine down. Before anything, Callaghan asks Gabby what kind of world Earth is. Gabby replies that it is a kind of world that has not mastered space travel yet and has not encountered other alien civilizations. Callaghan asks how he feels about his first alien encounter. Gabby replies that it was not exactly pleasant since he almost died. Knowing this, Callaghan starts from the top and explains that they stand in a realm beyond worlds. At the same time, the droid is explaining to the students about how the realm is located in the void at the crossroads of universes, where realities and time converge. The droid continues to say that they have been granted the honor of being chosen as warriors in the arena by the Great Selector. It elaborates that the Selector can reach through time and space to choose warriors with the most potential to create the most beautiful battles. Diego realizes that the droid is talking about the eye he saw before. Elsewhere, Gabby asks Callaghan why the entity wants them to fight. The blue man answers that nobody knows, and that it seems it is only doing it for entertainment. He personally believes that it wants to watch violence, since they are essential to nearly every form of life in the cosmos, and are the purest form of life itself. Callaghan elaborates that everything in the world revolves around the arena, be it the economy or social rank. Meanwhile, the droid is explaining to the student that every one of them owes the entity at least 3 battles. After that, they can either leave the arena and become slaves or keep fighting until they earn enough points to buy their freedom. Kevin tells it that it is an unfair choice, but the droid continues its explanation that they can spend their points on other things aside from their freedom. It explains that points are the main currency in the arena and that they can buy anything with them. Meanwhile, Gabby is shocked, since Callaghan just explained to him that he can also buy the ability to be resurrected with points. Callaghan asks that he keep his voice down since he is a regular in the restaurant. Callaghan continues to say that he can buy an extra life with 100,000 points, but he wants to explain this later. He refocuses on telling Gabby that the fighters who made it big in the arena are the ones who have someone backing them, who provides food, medical care, equipment, and top trainers. Callaghan tells him that he wants to be his sponsor. Gabby asks what sponsors get out of the deal. He says he organizes the fights, covers everything the fighter needs, and will get hefty cuts from the spectator bets, even more if his fighter wins. Callaghan says he saw Gabby in the arena and how he was unscared, unlike his classmates. He shares that he knows that he enjoyed killing his opponent. Callaghan gets excited as he shares his belief that Gabby is a rare gem with massive potential. He asks to be Gabby's sponsor and promises to make him a star in the arena and give him wealth and power. Gabby is surprised at his offer. The droid offers to show the students how to use a device called glasses, and asks a volunteer to step forward. Maddie raises his hand and steps forward. The droid summons an oval-shaped device, which looks like a camera lens, from the ground. It calls it a terminal, and it asks Maddie to put his hand in it. He does it, and the droid tells him it is how he accesses his profile data. A holographic screen appears, showing Maddie's profile. The droid explains that he can access his statistics through the screen and gives him 100 points to try out. The screen shows that he got uploaded with 100 points. The droid asks that Maddie say, "Store," so he does. Doing so enters the online store. He says, "Food," and the screen presents him with a menu filled with food. He presses the drumstick since the droid asks him to choose something worth 100 points. Suddenly, the drumstick appears in front of him. Maddie tastes it and is happy that it is good. The droid tells him that it is made of pork, so Maddie spits it out. It makes him mad that he ate pork when he is only allowed other meats like chicken or fish. The droid invites the students to access their terminals and get the hang of it. Diego calls for his terminal, and it appears. Later, the students go to the room filled with tables in their building. Maddie explains to Kevin that most of the students are already in their rooms because they were traumatized from their day. Kevin judges them as weaklings and thinks they are hindering them from getting out of their situation. Right now, Kevin does not care about points and is more concerned about how they seem to be free to go anywhere they want with no security or handcuffs. With excitement, he tells Fiona and Maddie that they will use the opportunity to escape. He rejects being entertainment for aliens no longer. Suddenly, he hears a voice telling him to forget about it. It is revealed that Gabby is back, and he has Callaghan with him. Diego and Mel are excited to see him. Callaghan tells Gabby that he will leave him with his friends, and that he expects him to brief them about the situation. As Callaghan leaves, he laughs at the thought that he made a deal with a kid. Gabby asks that everyone gather around. He tells everyone that Callaghan is his sponsor and recruited him. He also tells them that Callaghan made him an offer and that he took the initiative to make a counteroffer. Kevin accuses him of making a deal with an enemy. Gabby assures him that he did not object when he took the initiative to save his life, embarrassing Kevin. Gabby elaborates that if they survive the next 2 battles, Callaghan intends to sponsor all of them, too, which means that those who survive the next fights won't be separated from the rest of the group. He tries to give everyone hope that they will stay together no matter what. He also explains that those who want to stop fighting will become Callaghan's slaves, but that he gave him his word that they will be treated well. Diego asks what Callaghan will get in return. Gabby says that the condition is that he must fight exclusively for himself, and that he needs to fight for Callaghan even when all of them have already stopped. Diego and Mel think it is unfair, while Kevin is just insulted that it implies Callaghan thinks they are weak. Kevin urges everyone not to follow Gabby's plan since it is better for them to escape instead. Gabby assures him that escaping is impossible. Kevin grabs him by the collar and demands to know why. Gabby answers that there is a reason that they are free to roam around without restraints. Gabby summons his terminal. He asks Kevin what his plan is if they try to escape. Kevin answers that they will steal a spaceship or use one of their portals. Gabby asks his terminal how to get off the planet. The terminal computer voice answers that the only way to enter or leave the arena is through a wormhole called the Mouth of Eternity, and that only reinforced starships designed for long interstellar journeys can pass through it. Kevin says that it is not a problem since they just need to steal one of those types of ships. Gabby asks the terminal when the next vortex will open. It answers that the Mouth of Eternity will appear again in 3 years and 9 months, and that it will last 21 days. Everyone's, and especially Kevin's, heart drops to the floor upon this news. Gabby tells Kevin that no matter what, they will stay on the planet for the next 4 years. Gabby puts it in their heads that the whole world they are standing on is a prison. The group starts to lose hope. Deep down, Gabby knows his announcement was meant to crush their morale. He is surprised that Kevin is the one who broke down the most when he thought he would be tougher than this. Gabby puts all attention on him. He doubles down that there is no escape until the wormhole opens, but wants them to think of it as them having time to think of the best escape plan until then. He wants them to think about their survival in the arena as their first priority and refocuses on their next fight 3 weeks from now. He does not twist his words and tell them that not all of them will come out of the battle alive, but that he still promises to boost their chances of staying alive. Kevin gets up and reprimands Gabby for acting like their boss. Fiona asks him to calm down, but Kevin still goes on to tell everyone that Gabby is manipulating everybody. It makes Cedric and the others question if he is right. Diego retorts that they should trust Gabby because he is the reason they are alive right now. Kevin encourages Diego to think about how suspicious it is that Gabby came back with some weird alien and convenient intel and a plan. He announces his belief that Gabby is just saving himself and that they are just too stupid to see it. He dares Gabby to answer if his deal with the alien will still stand if anything happens to him. Gabby does not answer. It pisses him off that Kevin is figuring out everything. Kevin tells the others that Gabby's entire plan is for them to protect him in all 3 battles. It makes Diego and the others realize that he is right. Cedric intervenes and tells Kevin that he might be overreacting. Kevin does not listen to him and makes it clear that Callaghan only cares about Gabby and that he will not keep his promise if he dies. Gabby tries to think of a way to end his talk. He talks to Kevin as if trying to be a diplomat and tells him not to be scared. It makes Kevin punch him in the face. Secretly, Gabby wanted this to happen. He counters by grabbing Kevin while he tries to punch him again and throwing him against a wall. This leads Kevin to get even more enraged, and he charges at Gabby again. Diego shields his friend from him and tells Kevin he needs to stop. Gabby tells Diego that he does not need to do this, while secretly thinking that all is going according to his plan. Kevin wants Diego to get out of the way, but Diego tells him that he will be more than a match for him. Fiona and Maddie then go to Kevin's side to back him up. The other classmates are watching and are all tense. Gabby de-escalates by asking that they all call it a night and rest up. Fiona also encourages her boyfriend to do the same. Later on, Gabby is in his room and is thinking about how to deal with Kevin without breaking the team cohesion. He wants to clear his head, so he goes to the window to look at the view. He still can't believe that he is at the far side of the universe. He hears a sobbing noise and sees Mel crying nearby. He then realizes that she is about to jump off the building. She falls, so Gabby runs after her. Gabby manages to reach her, and they hit the ground together. It is revealed that Gabby shielded Mel from the ground with his body. The man is thankful that they are stronger in this world, otherwise they would have died. Mel comes to her senses and gets off of him. Gabby tells her that she should not have done that and that the height would have meant she would have failed anyway. Gabby cries as she says sorry to him. She tells him that she is just so scared. As Mel cries on his chest, Gabby realizes he does not usually get upset like this. He escorts her to her room. He is about to leave, but Mel grabs his hand and asks him to stay. She tells him that she knows that she will not last and just wanted to end things fast on her own terms. She shares her feelings about how the day has been the worst in her life, as all her friends are now dead, and how she is now on another planet and might never see her parents again. She admits that she has never been this scared in her life. She also says that she can't live with the feeling of guilt she has. Gabby assures her that she can't blame herself if she was forced to kill the monsters in self-defense. He then realizes the girl is talking about something else. He can tell that she must have killed one of their classmates. Mel recalls how she and her friend, Sophie, were running away when the battle with the goblins was occurring. Sophie tripped and fell, and so pleaded with Mel to help her. Mel came back for her and helped her stand up. She then saw the goblins getting near. Sophie asked her what she thinks they should do. Mel grabbed Sophie closer to her and apologized for what she was about to do. She pushed Sophie towards the goblins, and they teamed up to butcher her. While they were distracted, Mel ran away. The next morning, Gabby wakes up and realizes that Mel is sleeping beside him on the bed and is holding him. Mel then wakes up. She gets startled and quickly backs away from him as she realizes their position. Gabby stands up and tells her that it is okay and that he will leave now. He walks the hall where Diego sees him. Diego tells him that he got worried since he did not answer when he knocked on his door. He then blushes as he realizes that Gabby just came out of Mel's room. Gabby assures him that he just came to check up on Mel and that nothing like what he is thinking happened. Diego tells him that they will meet up for breakfast. Gabby returns to his room, where he finds that his clothes are ruined now because of the battle. He opens his terminal to see the options of clothing he can buy. He is disappointed that the menu screen does not have plain clothes, but is glad to see that there is a selection of free clothes. He presses the button to select it. It magically dresses him in the black and white clothing he selected. The screen then asks him if he would like to improve his clothes at the cost of 20 points, so he accepts. He then comes down to the eating room, where Diego and Mel are impressed by how he now looks. Diego and Mel try their terminals and also transform what they are wearing. Diego sees that Gabby is not eating much, so Gabby tells him that it is because they need to conserve their points. Diego ordered so much food that he is embarrassed to admit that he already spent more than half of his points on food. Meanwhile, Kevin has just pushed Cedric out of the way as he goes down the stairs. Kevin looks at Gabby, and Gabby stares back at him. Both of them look tense as they look at each other. It leads Kevin and his friends to leave the cafeteria. Mel is looking at Cedric and feels sorry for him. Diego says he thinks Cedric deserves what is happening to him since he hid under dead bodies and was using his friends to survive. His words cut Mel deep. It makes her reluctantly agree that maybe he is right. Gabby sees how tense she looks, so she stands up and suggests that they go for a walk to explore their new world. They walk around what looks like a market street. They still cannot believe that they are surrounded by different humanoid-like creatures. Gabby thinks about how the place looks like the slums compared to the beautiful city Callaghan showed him yesterday. He believes that this area must be where the prisoners are. Gabby sees the fish cart and wonders why people are still selling food when they can just get food from the terminal. Gabby tells her that some of the people still like organic food instead of the synthetic ones in the terminal. He then asks Mel if she is alright. She answers that she won't try to kill herself again and that he does not need to worry about her. Diego then tells the two that something seems to be going on. They see a cheering crowd nearby. The trio looks and sees that Kevin is fighting with a lizard alien, and the crowd is surrounding them. Last night, Kevin couldn't sleep. He remembered the chaotic battle in the arena and how Gabby looked like a deranged monster when he killed the giant ogre. The next morning, Maddie asked Kevin if he thought they should follow Gabby's plan. Fiona interjected, telling her boyfriend that Gabby saved them yesterday and that they should not care that he only cares for his own interests, since they are the same as theirs. Kevin replied that he does not like Gabby and is suspicious of him. He told them that he did not like the look Gabby gave in the arena, and it made him unable to trust him. He reminded his friends that they are stronger than the others and that this means they don't need Gabby. Fiona wanted him to think about how there is still a huge chance they will be separated even if they survive the next 2 fights. She told him that his misplaced ego was keeping him from seeing the bigger picture. She reminded him that he was right to say that they are the strongest trio, and that this means that Gabby came up with the plan so he would end up with the strongest team. She made him see that it does not matter if they trust him or not, as long as it means they can survive and stay together. Reluctantly, Kevin agreed with her. Fiona told him that he needs to apologize to Gabby, but Kevin aggressively refused. Fiona strangled him until he was forced to agree to it. They went down the stairs, intending to approach Gabby to apologize. Cedric bumped into Kevin, putting the man in a bad mood and pushing Cedric aside. This is when he saw Gabby, and they shared a tense stare down. It made Kevin and his friends leave the cafeteria. Kevin told his girl to quit pestering him since he would do the apology next time after they walked to calm his nerves. They walked in the same marketplace. Gabby, Diego, and Mel walked in and had the same reaction that it looked like a slum filled with alien creatures. Kevin laughed at the idea that they must be the first humans to visit an alien world. It made Maddie realize the same, and he laughed about it with him. Fiona was confused as to why that was funny. They then saw the crowd cheering at something. They looked and saw that the crowd was watching a one-on-one battle between 2 aliens. After one of them got defeated, the host of the fight announced the winner and informed him that he earned 300 points. It intrigued Kevin and his friends that they could get pints outside the arena. The host then asked the crowd which one of them would like to step forward and challenge the champion. Kevin instantly raised his hand and volunteered. The host told him that he needed to wager 150 points and that he would get them back, as well as his opponent's points, after the match. Kevin and the champion then faced each other. The champion rushed towards him. Kevin punched him straight in the chest, taking him down in an instant. The host raised Kevin's hand and announced him as the winner. Kevin was satisfied that he won so easily. The host asked if he would keep going, and Kevin was hyped to continue. He fought one alien fighter after another, winning each match with ease. Fiona and Maddie were cheering him on, excited that he had already garnered almost 1,000 points. The host then asked the crowd which one of them would fight Kevin next. A lizard man smiled and told the host he would do it. The crowd went wild, seeing the strong Clico volunteer. Maddie could tell Clico was a well-known fighter, but Fiona did not care, as she had full confidence in her guy. Clico looked so big that even Kevin was wary of him. The confident Clico told the street fighting host that he wanted to bet 500 points on the match. It made Fiona and Maddie worried. Kevin agreed to it without hesitation. With the game set, the hosts started their fight. Kevin rushed towards his opponent immediately, not wanting him to have time to attack. Suddenly, Kevin got hit with a seemingly invisible punch, which pushed him back. The confused Kevin wondered how his opponent had just hit him. He forgot about it and rushed towards Clico again, but he got hit with multiple seemingly invisible punches again. Kevin could not figure out what was happening. Maddie yelled at him that Clico was extending his arms like rubber. Clico suddenly launched a punch, which Kevin barely evaded. Kevin got back up, now reminded that he is fighting aliens. He rushed towards Clico again. Clico struck with a barrage of punches, but Kevin dodged them all and punched him in the stomach. He then followed it up with another kick to the stomach, which sent Clico backwards. Maddie and Fiona cheered. Despite their support, Kevin yelled at them to shut up not to lose his adrenaline rush. Clico praised his opponent for his attack and told him that it was his turn. He quickly rushed to Kevin and punched him point blank while still extending his arm for extra power. Fiona and Maddie became worried. Kevin tried to counter, but Clico evaded and punched him in the face, making the lad fall to the floor. Clico friended, enraging Kevin. Kevin tried to hit him multiple times, but he kept evading. Clico backslapped him, knocking him to the floor again. The crowd was cheering for Clico to finish Kevin off. It was then that Gabby, Diego, and Mel arrived to see what was happening. Kevin tells Clico that it was not over yet, but Clico can tell that he was already tired. Kevin wonders what he needs to do. Gabby was confused as he suddenly found his classmate in a street brawl. That said, it seemed like a valid fight with a referee, so he chose not to intervene. The scene also lets him know that they can fight and earn points even outside the arena. Kevin charged in, although they both know he might probably die. Already assured of his victory, Clico grinned and smacked the human's weak fist away like a fly. He drives a quick but strong punch into his gut, causing his opponent to drop to the ground in defeat. Looking at the unmoving young man, the alien smiles and commends him for giving a great match. Kevin's friends ran to his limp body, worried about his condition. Meanwhile, the host raised the victor's arm and granted him the 1,000 points he won. The other humans looked at their classmate's condition, well aware of how bad his wounds were. Fiona grabbed the young man's face, begging him to wake up, while Maddie vowed to make the creature pay for what he did to his friend. Furious and ready for vengeance, he ran towards Clico, who was busy collecting the points he won. As beating another human wasn't going to be much trouble for him, the fighter gladly accepted the challenge and tried to meet the fist with his own. Just then, Gabby's palms caught both punches, stopping them flat as they were being thrown out. Both men are shocked by the sudden interruption, but the young man just tells them to calm down for now. Maddie questions how he can do that after what happened, but is told to look around. The fight followed the rules, and the crowd will tear them apart if he keeps making a scene. The alien cackles in agreement, adding that he should look after his half-dead friend instead. Gabby then hands Maddie an otherworldly vial. It's an injector that holds a healing serum, which is potent enough to work instantly. Receiving this gladly, the boy calms down and heads to his injured friend. Meanwhile, Kliko calls to the other and, with a sinister and challenging aura, asks for his name. Without even a trace of fear in his face, Gabby stared back for a moment and walked away while saying his name. The monster was intrigued by the bug who stopped his punch with just one hand. As soon as they injected Kevin with the serum, he jolted awake with a deep breath. While he wondered what just happened, Fiona hugged her lover in relief. With this, it became clear that he lost the match. Gabby then stepped into his sight, saying they have to leave as they're blocking the next duel. Although he questions what the classmate was doing there, the humans leave the area for now. No one spoke a word on the way, and the tension between the two was thick and volatile, as if it would explode any minute. Diego then worried about facing someone like Kliko during their next battle in the arena. The only chance they have of surviving is if the two men at the front stop butting heads. They poke at Fiona, teasingly asking her to convince her partner with her charm. Noticing the commotion, Kevin questions when the two groups became close. He's still suspicious of his classmate, but acknowledges that they need him for the plan. With this, they continued walking until they finally arrived at the dorms. He suddenly paused as they parted ways and called out to make Gabby turn. Telling him to catch, he tosses a familiar item, which is surprisingly the same healing serum that was used on him before. With the debt settled and the two of them even, he walks away. It seemed like a fight was about to break out, but Kevin proves his good heart in the end. To their confusion, Gabby headed to his room without another word. Finally alone, he pulled his sleeve up, revealing his purple and deeply bruised arm. Kliko broke his bones with a single hit, which was impressive in itself. Injecting the healing serum in through his thigh, he heals the serious injury in an instant. He feels his bones and muscles heal and, with a firm grip, he smiles at the fascinating way things worked in this world. Dreaming, Gabby again encounters the image of his demon mother, who asks how he's doing. She scratched her head in confusion and wondered why he hadn't told his friends the truth. It likely isn't even her business despite their relationship, but still, she questions why he's hiding the fact that he's happy there. The young man's eyes opened abruptly, awakened by the blaring alarm. While he rubs his eyes after the nightmare, he remembers that he doesn't even have an alarm clock and jolts up to see what was happening in his room. There, he sees a screen, informing him that the next battle was 8 days away. One would normally be horrified, but he grinned in pure excitement. In the cafeteria, most of the humans have already changed into the planet's clothes and were observably more troubled than usual. Walking in to see that everyone was already there, Gabby says they can start right away. However, his classmates complained loudly, as he told them before that there are 21 days before the next fight, even calling him a liar for being wrong. Surprisingly, Kevin shuts everyone up with a loud scream. To him, the end goal remained the same, so he ordered everyone to just listen to Gabby's plan. With mutual acknowledgement of each other, the two young men nod and start. They didn't get as much time as they hoped for, but now they have to use what's left to train. To make things worse, they have no idea what they'll be fighting, a horde of monsters or one strong fighter. The only advantage they have is their strength in numbers, but their weakness is themselves. He points at the group of students with merciless eyes. Most of them are weak physically and mentally, and honestly won't last long in the arena. Diego tries to calm him down amid the insulted reactions pouring, but Gabby silences everyone with a single word. Fear strikes their hearts. They weren't in a gym class or some friendly match. This was a matter of life or death. Their feelings are irrelevant, and the truth is that most of them are weaklings. Fortunately, he's formulated a strategy to address that. They looked on in wonder as he summoned his terminal. The strategy will mostly revolve around the spear and shield. From ancient times, these weapons were the deadliest in battle, especially when used with formations. However, a phalanx is immobile and might not be too effective if they face another giant. Cedric brings up the topic of some people being more comfortable with swords. On the other hand, Madi mentions how each fighter in a phalanx is protected by another shield. Acknowledging that they're both asking the correct questions, Gabby draws on a screen and says their formation will be led by their 4 strongest warriors. If they face a giant, these 4 will split the formation and draw its attention while the others surround it. Now scattered in the 4 corners of the arena, they'll successfully surround the enemy. Kevin silently confirms that the plan will leave him, Diego, Maddie, and Gabby with the most points. Gabby then calls to him and asks for his help with a little demonstration for the team. They gather outside with dummies and equipment. While he's armed with a spear and shield, Kevin is going to strike with a sword. Now at the ready, the swordsman says he'll be gentle, but his demonstration partner's sarcastic answer is more than enough to provoke him. He charged in with a loud shout, intending to harm the classmate. People watched in surprise as the tip of the spear was suddenly right by his neck. Just like that, the victor was decided, and they successfully showed a spear's reach advantage. Unwilling to so easily be used as an example, Kevin deflects the long weapon with his blade and charges in to hack at the shield repeatedly. He unleashes solid hits, but none make it through the sturdy defensive item. To remind the others of a shield's offensive capabilities, Gabby steps back and launches himself forward to bump the opponent off balance. He doesn't waste a moment, and again uses the spear, this time to swing across the target's legs, knocking him to the ground. He points the bladed tip at Kevin's head and asks who wants to try next. Aside from the weapons lesson, Gabby also showed his domination over the group. Training for the fighting formation proceeds, but the plan leaves the 4 best fighters without a shield to protect themselves. As the best among the group, they have to find the right equipment that suits them. Training weapons are free, but they'll have to spend points to properly arm themselves in the arena. This worries some, as most of them have already spent the points they received. Gabby assures that this shouldn't be a problem for them. Summoning the inventory, he conjures a reliable-looking axe and says he took the initiative to buy it for Diego's use. While he fawned over the weapon, the 2 other men questioned the favoritism. He can deal massive damage with his strength and the axe's reach. Told that he can't accept such an expensive item, his friend reassures that it's the cheapest one. This manages to calm him down, so he just thankfully hugs the young man. Just then, a window screen popped up, asking if he'd like to take ownership of the object. Encouraged by his item, the others also check their inventory with excitement and are quickly filled with bliss. Kevin takes the Claymore of the Empire, as he intends to kill enemies by the dozen. He also shows off a dashing new coat, even striking a pose with pride in his style. As for Maddie, he chooses to impersonate a swordsman that wields 3 swords, but can only afford 2 blades for now. Straying away from the cosplay fest, Gabby is asked about his choice of weapon. He's a fan of fast and efficient attacks, so he chose a particularly ordinary throwing axe. The 3 freeze, surprised by his lackluster choice. The efficient fighter adds that he bought several other tools to use for battles. Just then, Fiona and Mel appeared with determined faces. They're scolded for laughing and giggling. When there's a big problem, some of the students can't even afford the cheap items, so the 4 will have to buy for them. The 2 men protest, saying they fought for their own points and want to keep their stuff. As usual, Fiona manages to scold Kevin into submission, while Diego beats himself up over wasting his points. Fortunately, Gabby takes the news much better and immediately moves to make it right. With the issue of tools settled for now, they resume the mission to train the troops. While all this was happening, a big red eye flew and watched from above. It seems like a pet belonging to Ligon, who was surveying the situation unfold with a satisfied smile on his face. A woman clings to him, wondering if he doesn't find her interesting anymore. He throws a few words of flattery and indulges in alcohol, even telling the nearby barkeep to bring out the best bottle. Walking in the night, he tells her a few boastful but interesting stories. Just then, something catches his attention, so he tells her to go up the room while he gets some fresh air. He waves her off with a smile, and tells the 3 behind him to head to the alley together. There, Ligon is sent flying. The thug's boss doesn't appreciate him waving his money around when he still owes him money. He argues that the deadline is still far away, and that he can do what he wants until then. However, the problem is that he's already lost so much from his last champion's defeat. Again, he confidently insists that they leave things the way they are, which they do plan to do as they only wanted to set his head straight. Things take a turn and the thugs end up on the cold, hard ground, beaten completely by a single man. Lighting a cigarette, he tells them to bring more people next time, if they want to beat him. After all, it's insulting to send trash against a former arena champion. Ligon leaves them there to return to his woman. In an advanced and peaceful land, Bull looked over the city from the balcony of his home. Something monumental was about to happen. Their civilization is embarking on its first mission to colonize another planet, and he's been granted the honor of leading the expedition with Dua, his fiancée, and Jun, his best friend. Their ship powered up and levitated off the ground. Soon enough, they were in space, traveling towards their first target and their promised new land. Even expecting a baby, he was sure they were going to have a wonderful life. However, their vehicle suddenly shook. Something had hit them from outside. They held each other for dear life, worrying as their alarms blared. To their shock, the collector was staring at them from outside, and their entire spacecraft was suddenly being sucked in. The arena was full of fighters getting ready. Everyone was evidently restless, with some pacing back and forth to calm their mind. Diego was the worst among them, even nearly having a panic attack from the pressure. On the other hand, Gabby was busy concentrating and suggested they do the same. They were by the waiting room, forced to stay still until they're called for the match they aren't even looking forward to. Madi was praying, believing in God now more than ever, after everything they'd been through. Finally, the droids appear by the entrance and tell the fighters to follow them out. Unlike others, Kevin was glad to move along with the battles. The opening to the main stage was wide, and they just had to prepare for launch. With things drawing closer, nerves start to get the better of others. Suddenly, the bully calls Cedric and threatens to personally finish him off if he chickens out again. With the class representative's face out of color, they step into the portal. They emerge in another room much smaller and quieter. They all line up for the match. Fiona tells Kevin to take care, while he promises to protect her. It was finally time for the humans to put into practice what they trained for, and hope Gabby's plan works out for the best. The gates opened and the announcer welcomed the people of Earth, who were then greeted by a roaring crowd. Wondering if they're going to win like last time, he can't help but get excited. However, a stern voice suddenly commands the formation to stop. They froze immediately, but had no idea what was happening. Even the 4 leaders didn't understand why people weren't moving. They proceeded forward, only hearing the sound of confused movements. Just then, Gabby cursed upon realizing the truth. Before him, a big group stood amid the smoke. It was Bull and his people, who looked on in bewilderment after being abducted from space. Around them were tables of weapons, a scene uncannily similar to when the humans first arrived. The students couldn't believe it, and things felt like a cruel joke. They knew exactly what was happening now, but refused to accept it. Gabby considers him a fool for not thinking about this. But today, it seems like they'll be forced to take on the role of villains. As the bringer of chaos, the announcer lets the games begin. The aliens stood there, clutching each other in silence and worry, so the humans had no choice but to look at them in confusion. They wonder why the newcomers aren't attacking when they should be, but Mel understands that they don't even know where they are, just like them 10 days ago. Forced to appear there with no reason or explanation, they were understandably afraid. The students are lucky. Gabby had a sinister grin on his face, presented with weak targets on a silver platter. Eager to attack, just like they practiced, he calls on to his team members. But to his bewilderment, nobody moved, and some even planted their gazes into the empty spaces. Diego is called on as well, but the large man then states that he refuses to participate in such a battle. Gabby doesn't understand their sentiments at all, and even wonders if his peers are the ones who don't get the situation they're in. Just then, his nightmare reappears, and says he's actually the odd one out. He turns to face her. Diego is ready to face any monster to protect them, but he can't harm other victims of the arena. After all, he isn't a murderer by nature, unlike Gabby. While the large boy is a special case, the others are not held back by morals, but by fear, the fear of going first, and the fear of being condemned for doing so. Only a monster would raise their weapon against the innocent, and who would dare do that in their group? Is it perhaps Mel, who they know isn't as innocent as she seems? Will it be Kevin, who is always eager to present himself as the alpha male among them? Or could it possibly be Gabby, who now has the chance to show others who he really is? Time passes, and even the announcer is disappointed by the stagnant atmosphere. As the arena starts to be filled with jeers and boos, Cedric screams loudly and dashed forward with his weapons. Alas, an unexpected outcome. The newcomers backed away instinctively, terrified by the man charging at them with a spear. Unfortunately, confusion takes over and they fail to dodge the first thrust. Even the student is surprised by what he managed to do, but the alien just fell to the ground, rapidly losing his life. Cedric stared at his writhing body for a while. That is until the maniacal thrill of killing another spread across his face. Absolutely enthralled, he raised his spear and called to the rest of his race. Similarly, the shock on the aliens' faces is replaced with anger, and they finally realize the situation they're in and what they have to do. Taking the weapons on the table, they raise their blades to fight. With that spark, it was finally time for the battle in the arena to begin. Some are still hesitant, but their leader's words prompt them to assume the formation they practiced. Maddie and Kevin held their weapons to take the lead, and the humans soon charged at the still confused aliens. While they stood their ground, convincing themselves that they could do this, Cedric laughed. They were completely mistaken, and stood no chance against the humans who were going to kill them all. Asked what makes him think so, the class representative oddly dropped his weapons and took his shirt off, declaring that they're people. Armed with advantageous weapons and a smart plan, the humans started killing the aliens. With this, the announcer finally laughed in satisfaction, and the audience cheered for the show they paid for. Gabby mercilessly beheads his enemies, not even batting an eye, but turned in confusion as he saw Diego standing completely still in the battlefield. He questions what his friend was doing, and reminds him that he has to earn points to live. Again, the large young man firmly refused to take part in such atrocities, even if it would leave him hungry until the next fight. His friend tries to convince him, reminding him of how they did so well last time. But that was different, as they were fighting monsters for their lives. That was all it was, and now Gabby finally understood his sentiments. While the battle raged on, he scoffed at the excuse he just heard. Questioning what's so funny about that, Diego is told that he is, for refusing to fight victims of the crazy world, who are exactly like them. After all, the goblins and the giant were probably victims as well, forced to fight against their will. This time, the enemies carry a human-like expression, and he's suddenly pretending to be a good person. Called a hypocrite, the tender-hearted boy is insulted enough to push his friend away. This makes Gabby laugh at him even more, wondering where his non-violence went. It doesn't matter to him if it's logical or not, he just refuses to be like them. The psychopath is stunned, not understanding the accusation right away, but Diego was surprisingly fast to catch on, and knows more than he seems to. He knows full well how much his friend likes it there, and even how much he enjoys killing. That said, he wants no part of it. Gabby remains silent for a while, caught completely. Letting the young man be, he runs back into the battle. The nightmare wonders if it's the end of a beautiful friendship. While all that was happening, the humans were surprisingly being overpowered by the newcomers. That said, Cedric was still hacking away at the enemies, donning a huge smile on his face as he stood over his trembling victims. Stabbing the poor alien repeatedly, he kept laughing. Thrill was filling his entire body, and he couldn't get enough of it at all. However, a firm hand gripped his arm and stopped it mid-swing. It's Maddie, who asks him to stop as his enemy was already dead. They have no choice but to kill them, but that doesn't mean they should desecrate the bodies. Not caring for his words, Cedric strikes his ally's head with a hard shield. When Kevin turns around, all he sees is his friend wounded and on the ground already. He rushes to his side, eager to fix him up as soon as possible, but the other psychopath says it'll teach him to stop nagging. Realizing who was at fault for the boy's condition, Kevin took his blade, but Cedric, now having lost all the meekness in his body, challenged him to a fight. They swung their blades and, as people who already know how strong they are on this planet, make full use of their superhuman physicality. The sound of metal clashing rang across the arena as their blades connected. Gabby notices this and questions what was happening, and the others soon start to turn to them as well. Kevin is stunned by the class representative's crazed attacks, but manages to send him back with a wide swing of the claymore. Cedric just cackles, having been waiting for an opportunity to fight him. Now that it's come, he's turned into a true freak without control. Even the announcer was amused by the unexpected but interesting turn of events. For some reason, it's as if everyone has gone mad all of a sudden. Cedric charged in with his sword, swinging at his own ally like an unleashed maniac. He tells Kevin to fight back and answer his attacks, but he refuses to fight someone who's gone crazy without explanation. The class representative argues that he finally became himself. The sparks from the clash of their blades are blinding. While they might not have noticed who he is deep inside, he's been watching the bully closely for a very long time, which is why he understands him well. To Kevin, the only reason he can stand up to him is because he's gone crazy. He likely believes that someone so weak would never dare to attack someone so strong. Continuing his assault, Cedric refutes all that, saying he was never afraid, not even for a moment. After all, he always knew that he was stronger anyway. Strength not only depends on physical ability, but on the rules of the game they're playing. Based on high school standards, the bully was the most powerful, so he trampled all he wanted to. Cedric can't even blame him, since it was all just part of the rules. However, he knew Kevin would peak in school, while he gets better once they graduate. Strictly speaking, the representative came from a wealthier family, was smarter, and ultimately poised to thrive in the real world. On the other hand, the bully would end up as a bum, just like his father. The insult triggers him, so the two men butt heads in anger. Dodging another wide swing, Cedric explains that he accepted all the domination and humiliation, knowing he'd end up as the winner in the end. It took him some time, but finally realized that in this world, it was different. He pulls his arm back and unexpectedly launches the heavy shield. It doesn't move as fast and is easily dodged, but the distraction was enough for Cedric. There are no rules in this world, and he proves this by throwing sand into Kevin's eyes, temporarily blinding him. Completely defenseless, he tries to block, but gets the blade thrusted through his chest. It was a fatal wound, and Fiona had to watch in horror as her lover fell to the ground. Gabby cursed the turn of events. Surprised that his enemy could still talk, the psychopath notes how the women are sweetly rushing to his aid. Taking his blade from the boy's chest, he says the girls can watch him die, right before their eyes. Gabby was running, but knew he wasn't going to make it in time. Still cursing, Kevin refuses to be pathetic and tells him not to miss. As Cedric wondered if killing his own teammate would give him points, a heavy feeling suddenly appeared from behind. Diego struck from the blind side and sent him flying with a single punch. He crashes into the wall, and the impact is strong enough to knock him unconscious. Meanwhile, the humans rush to Kevin's side, praying he was still alive. It hurts for sure, but he assures them that he's fine. Gabby tries to open the terminal for a potion, but it doesn't work in the arena. If they survive until the end of the battle, only then can they save their ally. Unfortunately, the game won't end until all their enemies are wiped out and killed. Calling to his friend, Diego tells him to do what he has to do to win. Given the permission to let loose, the young man puts his hood on and tells the rest of his classmates not to move while he works. The aliens were getting hopeful and started believing that they could hang on and possibly win the fight. To Bull's surprise, he hears his people's desperate and pained screams. His heart sinks as he finds Gabby slaughtering them with merciless eyes and explaining that he's in a hurry. With one final swing of the blade, the battle was over.